Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today, as I continue my series of showcasing individuals from our community that are movers and shakers, I am very happy to be joined by a young individual that I met some years ago. And I'm going to just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I was blown away by this young man then, and I'm still amused and amazed by him today. One of our very own, right here from Troup County, none other than Hogansville, Georgia.
Hogansville spot.
I have Mr. Bryan Jackson on as my guest today. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
You know, Bryan, and I said all that because it's true. Because I met you when you were in high school.
Yes.
My business partner, Imagine Me Entertainment.
Right.
You came out. We asked you to come out and do some songs for us.
Yes.
And you didn't even question. You just came right on.
Absolutely.
And that said and meant a lot to me. You know, as someone trying to start an adventure that we really didn't know a lot about, but we knew how to talk and we could pull people together, and you were there for it.
Absolutely.
And I just want to say thank you publicly for doing that.
Of course. Thank you for having me at that moment.
Well, you know what? I'm talking to, tell us just a little bit about yourself if you don't mind.
Man, so Hogansville born and raised, singer, songwriter, and I've always been passionate about music, big in sports, and just I personally feel as a love and appreciation of my hometown, I'm always a walking, talking representation of that.
I believe
Hogansville. That's me.
To believe it. I believe it. Like I say, you know, I've been knowing you for a long time.
Yes.
And every time we see each other, it's just like,
right. The energy is always there.
It's there.
Always been there.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions. Bryan, like I was telling you before I came on, you know, we talk about history so much, and we always think about persons that have, you know, trailblazers that have paved the way for, you know, others to come to follow. You're a trailblazer in your own regard, and you're a young man.
Absolutely.
And we want to always try to inspire our young people to know what their purpose and their goals and drives and motivation. Songwriter,
yes.
Entertainer,
yes.
Various things.
Yes.
How did you get on that track, or what do you think you may have inspired you to want to do those things?
I think for me, it started at barbecues. You know, listening to music. I think a lot of the times, rap wasn't played, so it was gospel and R&B, which my parents and amazing uncles and aunties were mindful of, and started in the choir. Eddie Robinson.
Yeah.
The face, when you think of music in Hogansville, you think Eddie Robinson.
No doubt.
So, you know, him always being in my corner, inspired me in music. I think that really started a lot musically. Sports-wise, you know, my dad, my entire family as a whole are athletes, right? But, you know, my father and my amazing mother always supported any and every dream I had. So I think that really inspired me to not think such small thoughts and thinking bigger than Hogansville and wanting to see the world. You know, I played travel baseball from 9 till my senior year of high school. So, you know, I just was able to experience a lot, see a lot, learn a lot. And that honestly shaped me into this person that you're sitting with today.
Okay. You know, awesome, you know, and the energy, like I said, is always infectious.
Always
infectious.
Always.
Yeah, and you know, I think you take that same energy, and I'm sure you use that in your songwriting.
Absolutely. In
your entertainment. Talk a little bit about some of the songs that you've done, and we're going to start naming. I know you've told me some artists that you,
Right. So my very first song was Let Me Take You Out with Travis Porter. And this song was the third fastest growing song in YouTube history at that time amongst all the A1 list artists. And that really inspired me to, one, embrace the idea of success. I think sometimes we don't define that. You know, we just have this thing, well, all right, this is success, and we hope that it's something that we see on TV, but it's different for every avenue, for every person. So defining that for me initially was kind of hard because I was the first in my family to ever go out and do music, right? So that was, I didn't have so much of a basis to kind of base it off of. But yeah, Let Me Take You Out. You know, I've written for Charlie Wilson's. I did like 4 songs on this last album, Minute to Win It. I've written for this K-pop group, which was actually #1 in China, that single. I've written for Chris Brown, some Usher stuff as well. So I've definitely worked with quite a few of my superheroes in the industry, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And from Hogansville, Georgia.
Hogansville, Georgia.
I want to go back to a point you made there. You said you were the first in your family to venture out into the music realm, to kind of go beyond the church scene.
Right.
And you mentioned about didn't have a role model. How important do you feel having that role model would be to our youth of today?
Oh, it's vital. Being able to see yourself in someone is always a blessing, one, but it's also a space where you could speak, talk to, and learn from. So me doing it initially by myself, it was learning it on the fly. You know, it was difficult because I was in LA, so I was so far from home and what I knew. But you know, you just get to a place where it's like, all right, it's just me and God, and whatever God has for me is for me, right? And then you just take those steps. My grandmother used to always say, you know, you take one step, God will take the next two.
That's right.
I just took that with me everywhere I went.
Wow.
Everywhere I went.
Okay. Awesome, man. You know, we talk about our young people of today, and so many times I always say we think they live in an instant society.
Right.
They see it, and the point that you made a moment ago, you got to have some dreams and goals and aspirations. But I think our youth of today, and not putting any of our youth down by any means, we just want to help them to understand that it's a process.
Absolutely.
Because when you started out, you didn't start out writing for Usher at the beginning, did you?
I'm not going to say I was a horrible songwriter, but my songs were definitely longer than the standard of today. You know, but again, being around people like Tricky Stewart, who's written for Beyonce, Justin Bieber, Usher, you name it. And, you know, Dream, The Dream, who's written for, I can't even name it. We'd be here all day if we name the people, but it's like being there, being a fly on the wall in those rooms with such high level of creativity, you can only learn. You know, and you can only get better. And you learn song structure. You learn how to trust your gut. You learn to create your stories based on your life. Because when people are listening to your music, or specifically when people are listening to my songs, it's like, it's my diary, right? I'm allowing you into how I feel, what I was thinking, what I was going through, my vulnerable places. And that's something that I'm also learning to walk into when working with Charlie Wilson. It was like, he and I just had conversations that I could just tell he didn't have these conversations with anyone else. And I understood in that moment as an artist, it's never about what you want to tell. It's more of, I need to tell it, right? Because a lot of the things we need to tell aren't things we want to tell, you know, but I think through those songs of telling what people need to hear, right? You allow people a space in your universe to exist and to feel like, oh, it's normal to feel hurt in a breakup. It's normal to feel happy when you find love. It's normal to express as a Black male, I'm not okay, you know, and feel safe within your community, right? Because I think sometimes it's difficult as a Black man to express what you feel and to have people still champion you, because it's like, dang, now everybody's judging me because, you know, what people think of you isn't always what your reality is.
That's right.
And so people don't know how to separate those two. So it's like learning in those moments to trust you, and whatever happened in those moments for people, it'll always find its home. But as long as you're doing your part and expressing yourself, and it creates a space of peace, bliss, and happiness, you know, and that's something that I feel like we're all searching for.
Yeah. Sounds like it was therapeutic.
Oh, what?
Therapeutic is what it sounds like.
It's definitely therapeutic for sure, because you talk to yourself in your mind, right? But being able to put it on paper and being able to put an emotion to that, and then having people be able to listen to it and feel what you felt in that moment, it's like, cool, I'm doing something right.
That's the connection. The connection.
So beautiful.
Wow. And, you know, talking about connections, and you know, Bryan, you and I could go on and on. You guys, you're going to be, there's a soft opening at the Royal Theater.
Royal Theater, yes.
And one of the featured individuals is none other than Hogansville's very own.
Come on.
Bryan Jackson.
Come on.
Jackson Gallery.
Yeah,
Talk about what would take place there that night.
Man, to start, I'm beyond excited because this is my first show ever in Hogansville. Ever. Right? I've sang in church, sure. But I've never done like a show of like R&B music. It's always been gospel music. So I'm super excited about that. Eddie Robinson, who was headlining the show, he was like, yo, you're gonna talk to A-Doc. I need you. I was like, that's easy. What you need from me? I need you to sing a song. I was like, of course. Because I think, even with Eddie, he's always had such a love and passion for music, and I think what he's done in the youth choir with my growing up into adulthood, he's getting his moment. Sometimes as an artist, you don't get that moment, and him being able to have that moment at home meant the world to him. But it's also amazing for me to see it because here's another role model that I'm seeing something happening here where I'm from that I can look at and that's actually pretty dope.
Absolutely.
Now I have like a basis of what to expect, how to run the show. And it's like, all right, cool, but it's going to be an amazing show. Eddie's going to do amazing. Everybody that's involved is going to be amazing. So make sure y'all come out.
Yeah.
Royal Theater.
And that's October the 26th.
Yes, October 26th.
7 o'clock in the evening. So definitely, ladies and gentlemen, come on out and see this young man.
Come on out.
This young man.
Come on. You don't want to miss it.
Bryan, as we get ready to close out, and I introduce you as an amazing young man, and that you are.
Thank you. It takes amazing to know amazing, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. What do you see yourself next, if I may ask?
My future? Television, film, for sure. Public speaking, writing movies. I think the more and more I'm getting into songwriting, it's teaching me to be very specific of the story. And I think that same concept goes into writing films. And that's definitely something I've always dreamt of doing.
Okay.
And now for me, it's like, while I'm here, I'd rather try everything and figure out what exactly my purpose is while being here with this time, because nothing's guaranteed as far as this time. We're all in borrowed time, right? So the goal, again, is to exalt every gift that I have and see where it takes me, see what journey it allows me on, and family and friends as well to be a part of that. I think, growing up, I thought it was more about me and my story, but now it's, I feel like I'm telling a lot of people's story. I'm embodying a lot of people's energy. I'm embodying a lot of good energy, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. Important.
Good energy is vital for creativity, life, everything as a whole. But yeah, man, I think having, my brothers, Reginald and Terrence there to help aid me in my crazy moments of writing songs. I'm like, am I too far left, too far right? And I'm like, oh, you're right where you're supposed to be. Like, whatever you create, as long as it's from an honest space, you're doing exactly what you should be doing. You're saying exactly what you should be saying. And I think having those two mirrors for me creatively is such a blessing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great point. I gotta say, we can go on and on.
Oh man, listen, we'll continue after.
We definitely we definitely will have you back on. So again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you come out and see this young man on October the 26th up at the Royal Theater in Hogansville, Georgia. And I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it. Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for more City Week coming up in just a moment.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining City Week this week. My guests have been from Hogansville, Georgia, our very own Mr. Bryan Jackson of Jackson Gallery. Ladies and gentlemen, he gave the youth some encouragement. As always, he's always going to be there for you positively. He's a songwriter, producer, author, and going on to be a public speaker. But until that time, come on out to the Royal Theater on October the 26th to see him in action, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure you will not be disappointed. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us City Week this week. And as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.